Most men lose the girl not because they lack looks, money, or charm, but because they chase. They smother her with texts, rush to reply, cancel their plans, and think that more effort means more love. But here's the brutal truth. The harder you chase, the faster she runs. Have you felt it? The moment you finally gave her everything, your time, your attention, your constant availability, and instead of pulling closer, she slipped away? It hurts. It feels unfair. And yet, it happens over and over. Why? Because women aren't drawn to certainty. They're drawn to mystery. Not to a man who is always there, but to the man she can't quite figure out. Not attention, but uncertainty fuels attraction. Not availability, but selectivity makes you valuable. She doesn't lie awake at night thinking about the guy who texts back instantly. She loses sleep over the one who makes her wonder, what is he doing? Why hasn't he answered? Who else might he be with? That gap between wanting and having, that's where desire is born. This isn't about ghosting. It's not about playing cruel games. It's about living a life so full, so complete, that she has to earn her place in it. That's what flips the script. And in this video, I'll show you exactly how to do it, step by step. So stay, because what you'll hear next will change the way you see attraction forever. Attraction doesn't grow in comfort. It doesn't thrive in certainty. It burns in the space of not knowing. Women don't obsess over what they already hold. They obsess over what feels just out of reach. That tension between I want him and do I really have him is the hidden switch that flips desire on. Most men never find this switch. They think attention equals love. They think more effort equals stronger connection. So they smother. They text back instantly. They drop their plans. They explain themselves every time she pulls back. They think they're showing care, but to her, it feels like suffocation. Not because she hates effort, but because effort without scarcity signals no value. Not your presence, but your absence makes her restless. Not your certainty, but your unpredictability keeps her hooked. When you are always available, she doesn't need to fight for you. And if she doesn't need to fight, she doesn't feel the thrill of winning. Women aren't wired to crave what's guaranteed. They crave what must be earned. Think of it like fire. Fire needs oxygen. Too much smothering, it dies. Attraction works the same way. Too much availability, the flame goes out. Give it space, and it roars hotter. Now, here's the part most men miss. Uncertainty is not a game. It's not ignoring her out of spite. It's not disappearing for days. It's living a life where your time and focus aren't instantly available. That's not manipulation. It's reality. You have work, goals, friends, passions. And those matter as much, if not more, than her latest text. Here's your first micro-action. The next time she texts you, don't jump like a dog waiting for scraps. Finish what you're doing. If you're at the gym, finish the set. If you're in a meeting, finish your notes. If you're relaxing, finish the moment. Then reply. That pause isn't a trick. It's proof. Proof that you live a life bigger than your phone. Proof that your attention is scarce. Proof that you are not conquered yet. Because the second she knows she has you fully, attraction dies. But the moment she has to wonder, where is he? Why hasn't he answered? Her imagination runs wild. And imagination is the gasoline of desire. So ask yourself, are you giving her oxygen to want you? Or are you smothering the fire with certainty? Flip the switch, create space, and watch how quickly her mind fills it with thoughts of you. But space alone isn't enough, because if your silence drips with neediness, she'll sense it. If your distance feels forced, it collapses. Which leads us to the second key. the silent killer of attraction. Neediness. If uncertainty is the oxygen of attraction, then neediness is the poison. It doesn't always scream. It seeps in quietly, dripping through every text, every call, every move that begs for reassurance. You may think you're proving love, but what she feels is pressure, and pressure suffocates desire. Neediness shows up in ways you don't even notice. The double text after she doesn't reply fast enough. The endless, "Hey, just checking in" messages. The panic call when she cancels plans. The urge to define the relationship before it's even had room to breathe. Not your affection, but your addiction pushes her away. Here's the twist. Women don't reject neediness because they hate connection. They reject it because neediness tells them a story, and it's a story no woman wants to star in. The story is, "I have nothing else going on. My happiness depends on you. Without your attention, I'm lost." That's not romance. That's desperation. Think about it. When you flood her with texts after she pulls back, what are you really saying? You're saying, "Please don't leave. I need you to validate me." And here's the paradox. The more you try to hold on, the faster she slips away. Not because she doesn't like you, but because no one wants to feel like someone else's oxygen tank. Not your words, but your energy gives you away. She feels it in the speed of your replies. She senses it in the length of your paragraphs. She notices it when you over-explain, over-apologize, over-invest. Attraction can't survive when every move screams, "Without you, I'm nothing." So how do you flip this? Here's your micro-action. The next time you feel the urge to double text, stop. Put the phone down. Breathe. Instead of chasing her attention, redirect that energy. Hit the gym. Call a friend. Work on a project. Do one thing that proves to yourself that your life has weight outside of her. Each time you choose action over chasing, you weaken the grip of neediness. Because here's the truth. Women aren't scared of men who care. They're repelled by men who collapse. She wants a man who wants her, but doesn't need her. A man whose life goes on with or without her. That's what creates gravity. That's what makes her want to lean in. So ask yourself, when you reach out, is it because you genuinely want to share something, or because you can't handle silence? If it's silence you're afraid of, learn to sit in it. Because silence, when owned, becomes strength. And strength is irresistible. Neediness kills desire. Presence builds it. And once you master this shift, you'll see women respond differently. Which brings us to the next level. If neediness pushes her away, what actually pulls her deeper? The answer lies in mystery and the imagination it awakens. Neediness drains attraction because it kills the unknown. Mystery, on the other hand, feeds it. A woman's imagination is her greatest drug. When she doesn't know exactly where she stands with you, her mind fills the space. And that space is where attraction grows. Not what you reveal, but what you leave unsaid keeps her hooked. Not the paragraphs you type, but the silence you hold keeps her wondering. She doesn't stay up late replaying every word of the man who told her his entire life story in 3 days. She stays up thinking about the man she can't quite figure out. The man who left some dots unconnected. Think about movies. The ones that bore you are the ones that spoil the ending too soon. The ones that stay with you are the ones that keep you guessing until the credits roll. Attraction works the same way. Certainty is boring. Mystery is addictive. But let's be clear. Mystery doesn't mean playing cold, disappearing, or pretending not to care. That's manipulation, and it backfires. Real mystery isn't fake. It's a byproduct of a full life. When your day is already packed with purpose, you don't have time to broadcast every detail. When you're genuinely focused on work, goals, passions, and friends, your availability naturally fluctuates. That fluctuation is the heartbeat of mystery. Not ghosting, but pacing keeps her engaged. Not dishonesty, but selectivity keeps her curious. The goal isn't to hide who you are. The goal is to let her discover it piece by piece, in real time. That discovery is what keeps her invested. Here's your micro action. The next time you're tempted to spill everything over text, stop. Share just enough to spark interest, then save the rest for in person. If she asks what you are up to, don't write an essay. A short, playful response creates space for her imagination to work. Let her wonder where you are, who you're with, and why you're not glued to your phone. That wondering doesn't weaken attraction, it strengthens it. Because the truth is simple. The man she can fully map out becomes furniture. Always there, unnoticed. The man who leaves questions unanswered becomes the story she can't put down. And every time she thinks of you without your prompting, attraction multiplies. So ask yourself, are you letting her imagination do the work, or are you shutting it down with overexposure? Because mystery isn't about games. It's about restraint. It's about letting curiosity breathe. And once you master mystery, you create urgency. You stop being a convenience and start being a challenge, which sets the stage for the next layer, the power of abundance. Because if mystery sparks her imagination, abundance makes you undeniable. Mystery keeps her guessing, but mystery without abundance is fragile. Because if she's the only woman in your world, your silence isn't mystery, it's pressure. Abundance changes everything. It frees you from desperation. It makes your calm confidence real. Not fake indifference, but genuine abundance makes you magnetic. Not pretending you have options, but actually living like you do makes her lean in. Women can sense the difference instantly. They know when you're bluffing. They feel when your world is already full. Picture two restaurants. One is empty, easy to walk into, no line, no wait. The other has people wrapping around the block, waiting just for a seat. Which one feels more valuable? Which one feels like an experience? That's what abundance does. It turns your time, your attention, your presence into something she must earn. Here's the paradox. Men who put all their energy into one woman too soon lose leverage. Every move feels like life or death. Every text becomes heavy. Every silence feels like rejection. That energy pushes her away. But the man with abundance, he doesn't panic when one woman pulls back. He doesn't crumble when one cancels. He doesn't beg when one tests him. Because he knows others exist. That calm is authentic. That's why she feels safe leaning toward him. Not panic, but patience creates pull. Not scarcity, but abundance builds confidence. The man with options doesn't rush. He doesn't force. He lets things unfold because he isn't terrified of loss. And ironically, that's why he loses less. Here's your micro action. If you're dating, don't put all your emotional investment into one woman until exclusivity is clear. Keep meeting people. Keep building connections. Not because you're a player, but because you're protecting your frame. Abundance isn't about juggling. It's about refusing to collapse into scarcity. And abundance doesn't just mean dating multiple people. It also means abundance in your life. Friends, fitness, hobbies, work, growth. When your world is already full, women feel it. They sense your energy isn't desperate. They feel your confidence isn't fake. And that makes them want you more. So ask yourself, are you living in scarcity, clinging to one option? Or are you cultivating abundance, letting women feel the power of your choices? Because the man who has nothing else going on feels needy. The man with abundance feels rare. Mystery sparks her imagination. Abundance makes her crave selection. But there's one more piece. Without it, even abundance collapses. That piece is boundaries. Because abundance without boundaries is chaos. And boundaries are what transform desire into respect. Abundance gives you options. But without boundaries, options mean nothing. You can have women lining up, a calendar full of dates, a busy social life. But if you let anyone walk in and out unchecked, you lose the very value that makes you attractive. Not sacrifice, but standards create respect. Not saying yes, but knowing when to say no builds desire. Most men think love means surrender. They believe devotion is dropping everything, rearranging their schedule, and bending their priorities the second she calls. But here's the paradox. The more you sacrifice too soon, the faster she loses respect. Your time is your currency. Treat it like cash in a vault, not coins scattered on the street. When you give it freely to anyone who asks, it becomes worthless. When it's rare, when it requires effort to earn, it becomes priceless. That's why boundaries aren't walls. They're filters. They don't block love. They amplify it by forcing investment. Not flexibility, but firmness makes her value you. Not over-accommodation, but selective availability makes her fight for your presence. Imagine she cancels a date last minute, and you scramble to reschedule. You've just told her, "I have nothing else going on. You are my only plan." Now imagine instead, you respond with calm acceptance and keep your own schedule. You've just shown, "My life is full. I'm not here to chase." Which version do you think she respects more? Here's your micro-action. The next time she cancels or pulls away, don't immediately try to fix it. Don't rush to reschedule. Let it breathe. Let her be the one to come back. And when she does, she'll return to a man who values his time too much to hand it out cheaply. Boundaries are attractive because they create friction. They force effort. And effort breeds attachment. The harder she works for your attention, the more she treasures it. The easier you are to access, the quicker she takes you for granted. So ask yourself, are you living like a 24/7 store, always open, always available, or like a reservation-only experience, rare and selective? One becomes convenience, the other becomes desire. Abundance shows you're wanted. Boundaries show you're worthy. But even with both, there's another test waiting. The storm she creates to see if you'll lose control. And that's where emotional stability comes in. Boundaries mean nothing if you abandon them at the first test. And make no mistake, she will test you. Not because she's cruel, but because she needs to know if you're grounded, if you can hold your frame, if you're the kind of man she can lean on when her emotions spiral. Women create storms to see if you'll get swept away. They cancel plans, they pull back, they throw drama in your face, not always consciously, but instinctively. Most men fail here. They beg, they argue, they chase harder, they collapse under pressure. And with every collapse, attraction erodes. Not matching her chaos, but staying centered earns her respect. Not overreacting, but holding your calm makes her lean in. Think of a pilot flying through turbulence. The passengers don't relax because the skies are smooth. They relax because the pilot doesn't flinch. That's you. You're either the calm in the storm, or you're another passenger screaming in panic. Here's the paradox. When you let her moods control your reactions, she stops respecting you. If you crumble every time she pulls back, you're telling her, you set the rules, you hold the power. But when you remain calm, you flip the script. Suddenly, she feels your strength. She senses your leadership, and that's what makes you magnetic. Not noise, but silence carries power. Not desperation, but patience reveals strength. Sometimes the most powerful response isn't paragraphs of explanation. It's staying calm, steady, and consistent. Here's your micro-action. The next time she pulls back, resist the urge to chase. When she creates drama, don't match it. Instead, pause. Breathe. Respond briefly, calmly, and with composure. "No problem. Let me know when you're free," carries 10 times more weight than a desperate essay. Each time you stay centered, you prove your value. Not through words, but through presence, because emotional stability is the ultimate frame control. It shows her you're not shaken by storms. It proves you can handle tension. And it makes her see you as the anchor she can't find anywhere else. So ask yourself, are you reacting to her world, or are you leading your own? Because women don't fall for the man who crumbles under pressure. They fall for the man who stands steady when everything else shakes. Boundaries show her you're selective. Emotional stability shows her you're strong. And together, they create a paradox. The less you chase, the more she chases you. Which leads us into the deeper truth, the paradox of desire itself. Here's the paradox that shatters most men's reality. The less you need her, the more she wants you. Not pretending you don't care while secretly obsessing, but genuinely caring less because your life is already full. Desire thrives on choice. Need kills it. Not your obsession, but your independence pulls her closer. Not your begging, but your standards make her lean in. The cruel irony is this: the more available you are, the less attractive you feel to her. The more you invest too early, the faster she withdraws. The more you chase, the quicker she runs. Women don't dream about being someone's life raft. They dream about being someone's chosen prize. Think about fire. You don't keep a fire alive by smothering it with wood. You keep it alive with space, oxygen, and careful fuel. Attraction works the same. When you crowd it with need, it suffocates. When you give it room to breathe, it burns hotter. Men confuse want with need all the time. Want says, "I enjoy you, but I'm complete without you." Need says, "I can't function without you." One is magnetic, the other is repulsive, and women feel the difference instantly. Here's the paradox. The man who doesn't need anyone often attracts everyone, not because he's cruel, but because he's whole. A man on his mission, a man with direction, a man who knows he adds value, with or without her. That's the man she fights for. Here's your micro action. Before you text her, pause and ask yourself, am I reaching out because I genuinely want to share something? Or because I need her response to feel okay? If the answer is need, don't send it. Redirect that energy into your goals, your fitness, your growth. Every time you choose yourself first, you reinforce independence. And independence is the fuel of desire, not dependency. But self-sufficiency makes her crave you. Not pressure, but freedom makes her want to stay. The story women want isn't, "He collapsed without me." It's, "He could have had anyone, but he chose me." That difference flips the game. So ask yourself, are you building desire or suffocating it? Because once you understand this paradox, you will stop clinging and start leading. And that's what sets the stage for the final truth. Women aren't addicted to games. They're addicted to real value. Women aren't addicted to games. They're addicted to value. They don't stay hooked because you disappeared for a day. They don't crave you because you took longer to reply. Those things might spark curiosity, but curiosity fades fast if there's nothing behind it. What lasts is real value, the man she can't replace, the man whose life is worth earning a place in. Not pretending to be rare, but actually being rare makes you unforgettable. Not performing confidence, but living it makes her lean in. Anyone can fake mystery for a week. Anyone can fake abundance on social media. But only the man who has built himself, his mission, his standards, his goals, radiates lasting attraction. Real value isn't an act. It's built. It's built in the hours you put into your craft, in the discipline you show in the gym, in the standards you hold when temptation comes, in the respect you demand by respecting yourself first. That's why some men chase endlessly and still get ignored, while others barely chase and get pursued. It's not the chase, it's the value behind it. Not empty tricks, but earned standards create gravity. Not fake aloofness, but real self-respect pulls her closer. When your presence feels selective, when your time feels earned, she feels privileged to be chosen. And privilege is addictive. Here's your micro-action. Build a life that excites you without her. Pick one area, fitness, career, or personal growth, and commit to it daily. When your time is already packed with purpose, you won't have to fake scarcity. It will be real. And when it's real, she feels it. Every text, every date, every interaction carries weight, because it comes from a man whose life matters. This is the final twist. She's not addicted to the chase itself. She's addicted to what the chase represents, your worth. The man who can't be conquered easily doesn't leave easily. The man with standards has value. The man with boundaries earns respect. The man who doesn't need her ends up being the one she wants most. So ask yourself, are you playing at being valuable, or are you actually valuable? Because women can sense the difference, and once you build the real thing, you'll never have to pretend again. Mystery sparks desire. Abundance builds confidence. Boundaries create respect. Stability proves strength. But true value is the core. And once you embody it, you don't have to chase, trick, or play. She'll feel the difference, and she'll fight to stay. Attraction isn't built on chasing. It isn't born from desperate texts or endless sacrifice. That only makes you forgettable. Real attraction is built on value, on mystery that sparks her imagination, on abundance that makes you rare, on boundaries that earn her respect, on stability that proves your strength, and above all, on the kind of life that's worth joining. Not obsession, but options. Not need, but worth. Not pretending, but becoming. That's the difference between the man she ignores and the man she can't stop thinking about. And here's the truth you can't escape. Women aren't addicted to men who collapse at their feet. They're addicted to men who don't need them, but still choose them. They're addicted to value. And value isn't performed, it's built. So here's your challenge. Stop trying to act valuable and start becoming valuable. Stop proving yourself to women and start proving yourself to yourself. Build your mission, guard your time, live your standards. Because when you do, attraction takes care of itself. Thank you for staying with me until the end. If this hit you, if it challenged you, if it stung a little, good. It means it mattered. Share this with a man who needs to hear it. And if you want more than truth, if you want tools you can use tonight, subscribe now. Because knowing is half the game. Doing is what wins it.